Hi, it's Bee from Growing Vegetables with Bee. I want to show you how to rejuvenate the compost after it's grown several crops, and rather than throw it away, or some people put it on the compost bin, people rebuy the compost, but that's not necessarily needed because you can add things for the compost to be rejuvenated and used again for your new crops. So here I've got one planter, got several of them, some are ready to be rejuvenated. I've taken some compost out and I could leave some in to mix in here, but it needs aerating because over time you've left it, you've watered, the plants have grown, it gets really compacted. You can see that in this one. You've got to dig harder to get it out. And this one here, I've been digging because this one has had several lettuce crops, and even though it just looks like compost, this one can smell it. It smells a little bit, so I need to aerate it. Literally, this one I'm using the little trowel, and then I'll add stuff to it. I'm using a fish tray to mix it all up and then put it back in the planter. I've got two things here that I'm going to add to the compost to rejuvenate it. One is mushroom compost and the other one is vermiculite. It's going to help me show you. This is vermiculite. Vermiculite lightens the soil, gives it more air in the compost or soil, whatever you want to call it. Makes the soil a bit warmer, so it maintains even temperature. It's also used for sowing and pricking out. Mushroom compost, the most smelly stuff there is, I think, on the earth, but really good for adding to your compost, because it will bring in humus back into the garden, into the compost, which then is invigorated to grow you more fruit and vegetables, which is what it's all about. I'm also going to add this cocoa compost, cocoa grow core compost. It's good for germination, good for root growth, and helps with water retention, which I've never used it, but I think it will be very useful. Water retention. Planters tend to have a habit of drying out, so this block, which is, I don't know what size, but it makes 9 litres of compost, so that'd be interesting. And I'm also going to most probably add a bit of fruit and veg organic granular food for fruit and veg to give it a bit more food, for the plants to be able to grow. And now mix it all up. I've unpacked the cocoa core compost. The block it says it's 9 litres, and you're supposed to add 2 to 3 litres of warm water so it starts softening up. This is one of them. And you can see this first one has been soaked up. You then leave it for about 8 minutes as it expands. So I'll just leave it, but you can see already starting to loosen up. You can see it slowly softening up. That was the 3rd litre, and I think it actually needs a little bit more. You can see how it scrapes off, and then there's still a little bit of dried cocoa. So after reading up about it a bit more, it was a 650 gram pack, and that I added 4 litres, becomes about 9 litres of this loose compost stuff. This is the mushroom compost. So I've got the original compost in here. I've got the cocoa compost, which the sun is making look very orange, but then the vermiculite, and now I'm going to add some of the mushroom compost. So that's filled up the tray nicely. Being mixed all together. Very kindly done by Mark. It's just ensure to mix the old compost with the new cocoa compost, the vermiculite, and the mushroom compost to encourage new plants to have enough nutrients to start growing and choosing vegetables for us. Mix it in one of the planters that I had emptied out. I'd put half of this planter into the fish tray. Mix this fish tray with vermiculite, mushroom compost, and the cocoa core. Now I've done the same in here. I've added mushroom compost, vermiculite, and cocoa more, and I now will mix it all up. So I've mixed it all up, and you can see how much lighter the whole compost is now. By adding, this is a previous root system, which you can either leave or put on the compost. By adding mushroom compost, the cocoa, and the vermiculite, and mixing it in nicely, you can see how light it is. But now it's ready for planting. At this point you can add this fruit and veg. If you're ready to plant it, then I would add it. If you aren't ready to plant it, I would leave it out and just add it when you need it, when you start planting. I just half emptied this planter, and I've dug it right down to the bottom, so really loosened it. You can see the bottom of that is the bottom. This is about half in there and half in my tub. I'm now going to add mushroom compost, the cocoa, and the vermiculite, and make it all lighter. I actually found some potatoes. These are roots from celeriac. And look, I just found a few potatoes in there, and I've tossed in the one that I've just mixed up. Bring them in. No doubt they would have started growing. Anyway, I'll mix this all up, make it all light, add the nutrients, and then I will fill these both up with potatoes. I'm going to add glass, I think. I was mixing this planter, the compost in the planter, the bottom one collapsed. The screws have rusted through, Mark?
Probably.
So Mark's just going to screw them back in. Mark's using a clamp to lift the plank into place. Saves us having to hold it. A little bit of manual hammer, the foot. And there it is. It's often, if you fix something straight away, it doesn't get any more damage, so I can now finish my little job. There's 2 planters ready for planting. So I've taken half the compost out. I've added mushroom compost, vermiculite, and cocoa stuff. Mixed it all really well so it lightens the soil, gets nutrients back in from the mushroom compost. Added some, you can see I've added this one, added some of the fruit and veg organic fertilizer, this one. And I'm now putting glass on these and get them ready for planting for some early potatoes. But I need to redo my other planters, this one, This one, this one's got a few carrots in, and this one has got garlic in, some sage looking sorry for itself, and some onions, so they don't need doing yet. But I will redo all the compost like this. The thing is, by adding the other nutrients, you got some left as well, so I'll have some for pots to plant some seedlings in when they're ready, but they're not ready yet, so I'll bag that up into a bag so it's ready for when I need it. Right, hope you found this interesting, and we'll see you next time. And Freddie says that's all good news. Hello, Fred.